Good morning, Team New Horizons family. Jawan Buford broadcasting from Detroit metropolitan area as usual. Definitely excited to be addressing the team. And, the topic I want to briefly talk about today relates to the exposure process, right? And oftentimes, especially new associates and seasoned alike, right? We want to spend the majority of our time on reflecting on how to go about the exposure process from the standpoint of what language to use, right? We want to know what to say, how to say it, right? You want the correct diction. We want the script. And you know what? Those are legitimate needs. Those are legitimate reasons and questions to have in terms of how to approach individuals. But today I want to talk a little bit more so about mindset. Because at the end of the day, if you're struggling with the exposure process, the scripts are there, right? We have written scripts, which you can find on the Team New Horizons blog. There are video scripts and audio scripts are available. The 8-step exposure process is one of the simplest scripts that I can think of that we post frequently and often. Matter of fact, it'll be in the body of this message posted on YouTube. So you'll be able to look literally in the body and see the 8-step video in terms of the exposure process. But what I would also challenge you to understand is this. If you're having difficulty with the exposure process, a lot of times it's because you haven't figured out what your goals are, right? The exposure process is something that you get involved in when you have goals, when you have an objective, something that you're taking aim at. And at the end of the day, that's what this is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a vehicle to help you to achieve the things that you want, whether it's more time with your family, right? You want to build this business. You want to create a passive residual income that's not attached to you wake up in the morning and going to work, because that means if you're spending less time working, that's more time you can spend with your family, right? That's a real legitimate motivating goal. Some of us want more revenue. We want more income in our lives so we can buy a bigger house, have a nicer car, buy a bigger boat, take longer vacations, take a vacation as opposed to a staycation, right? Some of us have reached a point where, you start looking up and 20 years can go by real fast and you'll be knocking on the door of 60 and 70 years of age. And you don't want to be working as hard in your 50s, 60s, and 70s as you were in your 20s and 30s, right? That can make for a pretty sad situation. Whatever the goals are, right? Maybe you want to give back altruistically to your church. You want to give back more to your community. You want to be a leader, right? I'm not just talking about a social media leader. I'm talking about a leader that people respect in the community, that people follow and have high regard for. You want to be an influencer where you want to be able to get things done on the ground level, right? And you know that your success is something that's absolutely necessary in order to have that type of influence. Whatever the case may be, this is meant to be a vehicle to help you achieve your short and long-term goals. And so if you're having difficulty with exposure process, the first thing I'm going to encourage you to do is really sit down and ask yourself, what are you taking aim at? What matters most to you right now? What's most important to you? Is it cleaning up your credit so you can get that new residence or move out of that zip code into a better zip code? Provide your children with better educational opportunities. Maybe you're in a situation where you're just tired of being check to check, living like on the brink of tragedy every single week or day. Maybe you've gotten money as an issue out the way for the most part. You're not check to check anymore, but you feel like you're enslaved to a job that you hate and can't stand. Whatever your reasons are, I need you to sit down and really think critically about what are the things that you want to accomplish. Because it's hard to put your life's energies behind anything if you feel like it's not going to get you to a long-term goal, right? Once you take care of the bare necessities, having a roof over your head, being able to eat, having transportation, and getting from one point to another, right? If you've transcended those things, it's hard to find the energy to do anything else. Okay, especially if you're in a situation where you're walking a job just over broke, where that's all it's providing you, but it's sucking your soul dry. You're tired. You're working 40, 50 hours a week. This is a part-time venture, but keep in mind, it still requires a little bit of time, a little bit of focus. And it's going to be hard if you're not taking aim at something. So you got to have a goal. Maybe you want to get to a point where you have $3,000 in savings. The average American household doesn't even have $500 in savings. Don't let the cars, don't let the houses, don't let the clothes, don't let the social media pics fool you. The bottom line is a $500 issue pops up, they're in trouble. That's most people. So maybe you want to be in a situation where you have $3,000 saved up, right? Where if any type of emergency transpires, if you have to make any type of sudden move, if you have to replace a vehicle, some type of emergency comes up with a cousin, nephew, uncle, whatever the case may be, right? You have the means. So you're not robbing Peter to pay Paul. Maybe you want that sense of security to know that you have $3,000 saved somewhere, just earning interest, not even invested, but just to know that it's there. Whatever that goal is, make it clear. And I'm spending a lot of time on this because really, this is going to determine whether or not you get up in the morning or during the day or during the evening, whatever your exposure process looks like, and you invite 2 to 5 people, 3 to 5 people to learn about your business, right? The exposure process only takes 30 seconds to a minute, for real. It only takes a moment to call someone and say, hey, I made an investment. I'm excited about it. At the end of the day, it may or may not even be for you, and it's all good. But, I've been looking for that thing. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been looking for a way to help other entrepreneurs. And, I have children, family, and I've been looking for something that would allow me to be able to spend more time, focus on my family and friends and doing the things I love and enjoy doing as opposed to having to clock into work. And look, you're sharp, you're smart, I have regard and respect for you. We've known each other for a while. You got family responsibilities too. Look, if I were to share some information with you, would you take a look? I just want your feedback. Your feedback matters to me. This is important to me. As a family member or as a friend, would you take a couple moments to just learn what it is that I'm doing? Great. Oh, you would? Phenomenal. If I were to send this information to you in the next 5 minutes, how soon would you get around to taking a look at it? How soon would you get around to taking a look at it? Oh, you'll look at it tomorrow evening? So if I were to call you tomorrow at 8 or 9 o'clock, you'll see it by then? Okay, great. I'll give you a call tomorrow at 8 or 9. Look, I appreciate your feedback. I wish I could talk more. I got a lot of stuff going on right now. We'll catch up. But I really appreciate your willingness to take a look. So tomorrow, 8 o'clock, chat. Cool? All right, fantastic. Thanks a lot. That's it. That is how fast and to the extent that the conversation should go with the exposure process. And of course, there are different types of nuances. You change the language up a little bit, right? You just change it up a little bit if it's someone you don't know versus someone you know, or someone who's someone who's had a lot of success and really crushing in life. You might approach them a little bit differently, but the bottom line is it's the same thing. So it only takes 2 minutes. If you do 3 exposures, 6 minutes. If you do 5 exposures, that's only 10 minutes. So it's not the amount of time, it's the fact that you have to attach a worthy goal to the activity in order to do the activity, right? So that's first and foremost. It's a function of knowing your goals. The other thing is the exposure process and your success in it is also a function of tracking your activity. You got to track these things. You need to be asking yourself, have an activity goal, right? If your goal is to do 10 exposures this week, you want to be tracking that. You want to make sure you're getting your 10. That's 2 a day, 5 days a week. If your goal is 20 exposures, and let's say, once again, you're working on a 5-day week, right? Then that's 4 exposures, still morning, 4 exposures a day, right? Or if you're doing it 7 days a week, well, then it's a little bit different, right? It's about 3 exposures, 2, depending on what your goal is. Okay, you just do the math. But you want to be tracking that. And you want to track when you're doing exposure, what's going on in terms of the follow-up and how are people responding, right? And if there's a disconnect between your exposure process and people looking at the information, then you want to contact leadership. Give leadership a chance to kind of listen to you and tweak what it is you're doing. You're in business for yourself, but you're not by yourself, right? I remember what it was like being an entrepreneur years ago, starting out and not having help, not having assistance, not having anyone who had my back. That's typically how it goes because people see you as competition. They're trying to compete against you as opposed to trying to complete things with you, right? That's not what we're building here. We're building an organization that is supportive of each other. So if you're having difficulties in terms of what you're sharing with individuals and you're just not getting the traction you expect, that's when you follow up with leadership. Make that phone call, send that email, send that text. Don't be shy. Don't be bashful. We want you to level up. This organization is about building entrepreneurs who are having success and creating prosperity in their life. That's our win. That's how we measure our success. By the whole coming up, A rising tide lifts all ships. So definitely make that phone call, right? So you want to be tracking your activity. You want to know, okay, I did this many exposures today. I followed up this many people, and it resulted in this many people getting on presentations, which once again, this boils down to another element of the exposure process. You got to know what tools you want to use. I personally use 3 tools. At the most frequently, I use 3 tools. There's a million of them out there, but you don't want to be using a million different tools. You don't want to be using them because you can't tell which tool is more effective than the other. You don't know, right? Your leadership, individuals like myself, we have maybe 3 or 4 tools that we're using at the most, right? That way I can kind of pay attention. I know how people are going to respond because I know what they're looking at, right? So you want to have just 2 or 3 tools that you like. You go to your prospect by Legal Shield, or you call up leadership. You say, hey, what tools are you using? Now, I would start there. If you're trying to figure out what tools to use, don't get caught up in a million different tools that are being promoted to you on a weekly or monthly basis. Cool, it's great. Look, we're a part of a company that has billions of dollars in disposable cash to spend to assist us in our efforts. That's wonderful, right? So we're coming up with new things every single day. It's great. It's exciting to be part of a company that's leveling up, where they have that much money and that kind of cachet and resources to basically give us everything we need, right, to build our individual franchises as entrepreneurs. That's phenomenal that we have a parent company that can do all that. But it also can be disconcerting. It can be discombobulating. It's just sometimes it's too much. So identify just 3 tools that you roll with. You go hard every single time. Because once again, if you're trying to figure out, well, what do I use and what do I say and how do I do this and how do I do that? Look, a confused mind does nothing. So that's also an important element to exposure process. Pick your 2 or 3 tools that you like, that you feel good about. Because if you feel good about the tool, if it resonates with you, you'll be comfortable sharing it with other people, right? And this is part of finding your voice. This is part of finding your way. Find the tools that work best for you, right? Just 99% of the time, use corporate tools or tools provided by your leadership. I'm going to tell you right now, avoid the YouTube videos, because people looking at funky stuff on YouTube, people looking at negative stuff on YouTube, people looking at drama on YouTube. When they pull up your YouTube video, guess what they're doing? They're going to be looking at more drama, and then it just brings it down. So just be aware of that, okay? So knowing what tool to use, using 3-way calls, using third party, okay? Use third party. At the end of the day, even if you know your people, even if you are 100 grand, 1,000 grand strong with them, trust me, if you are doing this in the back of the cerebrum, they're still feeling like they're being sold to. You want to use third party. You want to get other experts, other individuals involved. Look, you can be a multimillionaire at real estate. You can be a multimillionaire in the stock market. You can dribble a basketball and be a multimillionaire dribbling a basketball, but your family and friends know that you're new to this business. So while they may trust you and love you, they don't respect you yet as an entrepreneur until you start having, I'm just being real with you, until you start having $1,000 and $3,000 and $5,000 and $10,000 and $20,000 paydays, like your leadership. You want to get your leadership involved. You want to get people who have the credibility, and you marry the trust and the fact that people like you with the credibility of your leadership, and then that turns into good results. But if you're out here in the exposure process, you're following up with individuals, but appointments aren't getting scheduled or people aren't enrolling, 9 times out of 10 is you're not getting leadership involved. We know what the objectives, what the objections are. We know what the fears are. We know what the anxieties are. Because we've done this so many times, we know what reasons an individual may enroll in a service and what reasons they may not. We can ask questions that you may not think to ask. We know things about the membership that you don't know yet. And that's okay. That's the beauty of our business model. So part of the exposure process is understanding that 3 ways is an extension of it. You want to get other people involved in your business. You don't want to be a do-it-yourselfer. I know what you're taught in school. Most stuff we're taught in school, most stuff that we're taught by our parents, most stuff that we're taught by society doesn't work in business. That's why only 2% of people become successful financially in business. I'm just being real with you. Only 2% become financially independent in business. It's for a reason, right? We're taught don't talk to strangers, for example. But guess what? That's the kiss of death in business. In business, you want strangers to learn about your business. You can't build a business just off family and friends, right? So the things that we're taught is incorrect. You're taught if I want something done right, I got to do it myself. Good luck building as many locations as Starbucks has. with that attitude? No. You got to learn systems, philosophy, structures, ways of thinking and conducting yourself. You got to move differently in order to build big, right? If you want to build a large business with a lot of clients, a lot of people who love what it is that you do, and attract people who want to participate, right? Doing it yourself doesn't work. That is the mantra of a self-employed person that will be self-employed all their life. In other words, their business will own them. They'll never be free. They'll have to get up every single day and go to work. No, you want to build systems. You want to utilize tools. You want to do things that will set you free. So it only takes you 5 hours a week to do what it takes other people 30 hours a week to do. You see what I'm saying? So you got to get the three ways involved. You got to get other people involved who have more experience so you get a better ROI, a return on investment in your time. Even if it's just 5 hours a week, 5 hours a week can produce $2,000 per month in revenue with us. How do I know? Because I did it. That's how I started out years ago. That's what cemented me. When I saw I could do $2,500, have a $2,000 payday, 5 hours a week, it was a wrap. It was over, right? And what I'm sharing with you is how it got done. Right? So number one, having a goal. Number two, tracking your activity, knowing just how much activity you want to do. You adjust your activity in accordance with your goal, right? Knowing what tools to use and getting other people involved so you're not utilizing your time. You're just connecting people to your connections, right? And then, of course, taking aim at an event. Look, what's better? This is so important. What's better? Doing 5 30-minute presentations or inviting 5 people to a conference call and 1 30-minute presentation sharing information with all 5, right? This piece is important. This is part of the exposure process. The ultimate goal of the exposure process is to get someone to a presentation. Now, a presentation can be audio. That's great. A presentation can be a video. That's great. A presentation can be a live call or a live webcast. Even better. Right? Because of the live experience, they feel the energy and they get a chance to answer questions, right? Or hear other people ask questions, which may answer their question or make them more comfortable and willing to do what? Ask questions. Because the less uncertainty you take out of the equation, the more likely a person is to make a decision, one way or the other. That's all we want is a decision, right? And so you want to take aim. You want to know Thursdays at 6 o'clock. We have a Team New Horizons B2B Business Solutions overview where we cover the membership from the standpoint of how you can utilize it personally with a heavy emphasis for entrepreneurs and business owners and how the plan could be of benefit to a fledgling entrepreneur or even an entrepreneur who's already been established for 20 years and already doing $20 million in revenue, right? Because we have clients who utilize our services who are having that type of success, right? It's called a clue. So you want to be taking aim at those presentations. Look, if a person can't make it at that time, then you set an alternative date. But the majority of the time, you want to get people on that one call. And look, you may not be able to make it. You may have church. You may have to go to work that day. The kids may have spilled hot sauce all over your favorite sofa or carpet 5 minutes before the call takes place. You can still invite people to that call, right? You invite people to that call if you're not there or not, because you know the leadership on the call. We're going to ask people who invited you. So we're going to find out who those people are, and we're going to make sure they get directed right back to you again, right? So you can still invite people to the call even if you may not be able to attend the call. That's called having a business, right? Mr. Starbucks is not watching the barrister somewhere in Florida pour that cafe mocha, right? He's not watching it. You don't need to watch the work being done in your business. You're a business owner. That's what you're building here. Now, of course, we encourage you to be on the call. Your guests are going to want to see you on the call, right? From time to time when you invite them on, depending on your relationship with them. Also, if you're listening to the webcast Thursdays at 6 o'clock, go to Team New Horizons blog to find the information. Of course, go to our Facebook site where it's posted every single week, frequently and often, or almost 2-3 times a week, really. You want to be on there because the more you hear the presentation, the more you become comfortable with the presentation. Also, the more you begin to kind of fashion and understand how the presentation works. Also, you also have an opportunity to hear the objections or to hear the questions that people are asking at the end of the webcast. That way, when you're in the field and people are asking you these questions, you better understand how to respond and how to react to them or what tool you should follow up with, right? If a person has questions. Because here's the thing. Most people who join our organization, they don't have the gift for gab. They don't want to sell. We're not salespersons. We're sorters. So we share information to sort. We share tools to sort. We get people in presentations not to sell, but to sort. We let people sort themselves out. We share the exposure or the tool so people can say, I don't have an interest in learning more, or I don't. Great. If they don't have an interest in learning more, R3, referrals. We'll talk more about that in another training. If it's a situation where they get on the presentation and they don't like what they hear, or they're not interested in what they hear, or sometimes the timing just isn't right, the issue hasn't shown up in their life yet, or the issue hasn't become so painful that they're willing to seek a solution, right? Call it a clue. So don't look, understand, no doesn't always mean no. No sometimes means just not right now, right? Or I don't know enough, right? Be aware of that. No does not necessarily mean no. It means I don't know enough, or I don't know right now, right? So anyway, so the whole purpose of this is for individuals who don't like to sell, who don't have the gift for gab, which is 99% of everyone that you love, know, and trust. I'm telling you the truth. But you still want those people to be comfortable with the process. You still want those people to respect what you're doing. You still want those people to be comfortable with who you are and your business and your process, right? You want those people to be comfortable. Even those who join you in business are going to be the exact same way. These are the same types of personalities you're going to be dealing with. You want them to know that, no, I don't have to sell. I can just share a tool, and then my leadership will answer questions. Or I can get someone on the presentation. And guess what? Once again, leadership will answer their questions. Only thing I'm doing is a highly compensated refer, and people sort themselves out, right? Leadership is not going to try to convince, cajole, prod. We're not going to grab like by the ankles, hang upside down. No, it's like, here's the information. Is your family, your business worth $1 a day or $2 a day or not? It is. Great, fantastic. We can help you enroll with the person who invited you out. Not, that's okay too. Get with the person. Maybe you know other people could benefit. Maybe you know other business owners, you know other people who are looking to participate in an organization like ours who's leveling up and changing families all across North America, Europe, and the world. Right? So anyway, that is the talk I wanted to give on the exposure process. I've been having these conversations. I thought this was important. So pay your mind to this. As usual, you already know I'm going to end this. I celebrate success in advance. Goodbye for now.